Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, and we're here for the Board of Commissioners meeting. Could you please take the roll?
Durancheck.
Here.
Krieger.
Hessel.
Begic.
Here.
Poonen.
Here.
Ryder.
Here.
Lutz.
Here.
Herrick.
Here. Please stand for the invocation, followed by the pledge.
Almighty God, we ask that you bless this session of the County Commission today. Give to its members the courage of their own convictions so that they may work for the common good of all the strength and confidence placed in them by election to office. May your divine providence guide our county and bring dignity, prosperity, respect, and order to every citizen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda will be the minutes of 6/12/18.
So moved. Support.
No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next will be citizen input. Is anyone from the audience that'd like to step forward and speak to this governmental body? Please do so. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Fran DeWise, and I just want to introduce myself. I'm one of the candidates for the opening on Bay Arenac Behavioral Authority.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. I'm Justin Peters. I'm also applying for the position on the Behavioral Health Board. I went on the website when I first learned of this, and it was quite an experience. I wasn't expecting as many different programs being offered, and personally, even beforehand, I had the opportunity to tour the activity facility out on Parish Road, and I went room to room and got to experience the teachings, the activities, artwork, singing, and whatnot with all the various patients and the staff, and I could see how the benefit of it was. So definitely something I can get behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? Seeing no one. Oh, we have one more. Sorry.
You gotta give him a minute. Give him a minute.
Yeah. I'm so fat.
Thank you.
Never know I had to be anywhere.
I won't take a lot of your time. I just wanted to come in and introduce myself to the board of directors here. My name is Carl Hammond, and I'm running for the State House of Representatives, District 98. And I'm originally from Bridgeport, Michigan, but I lived in Bay County and worked in Bay County for over 10 years during the 80s. So that's why I want to represent your communities in the legislature next year. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty then. Seeing no one else, we'll move on to the petitions and communications. And first on the agenda will be Mr. Chris Pinter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have all good news for the commission. All good news. In some of the materials we sent you, there's a summary of the conference committee report for the state budget for healthcare for 2019. I highlighted a few things, but given the environment we've been in the last 10 years of consolidation and changing, this is a good budget. Pretty much flat across on our GF, flat on our Medicaid. I would have liked to have seen more substance abuse money go in. It's still minimal, but we're expecting federal money to be made available here very soon to the states with the opiate epidemic. So I think you'll see supplemental budgets, if not in 18 and 19, from the state offering more substance abuse money to the community. So that'll be a good thing. Autism was another one. If you look from 18 to 19, that went up almost another 80%. And that's as Michigan has built out its autism program, and we've had strong advocacy from the administration on that. We've built out a strong program. We serve over 100 families now in Bay County. So that's one of the areas that's not flat, that's been growing. And Healthy Michigan, as a That's a modest increase, but we're watching as more people are going to be transitioning now over to the Michigan marketplace and will no longer be eligible for Healthy Michigan with some of the changes made in the legislature, so we'll have to watch that. I expect that number to have peaked and plateaued and now to start coming down. The big conference committee item that we were really pleased about was there was some, if you'll recall 2 years ago, there was language put in the boilerplate to essentially strip the counties of their mental health funding but leave them with the public obligation to serve the most severely disabled. And this board was one of the first commissions that went on record opposing that. And so did Arenac County, like the next day. Just want to mention them, Bay Arenac. This has been a back and forth for the last 2.5 years. The administration took a lot of public feedback and they had changed their plans, to give them credit. They were receptive to feedback from the public. The Senate has been, their constituents have primarily been the health plans who want the money. And so each year there's been the administration's plan, which is pro-consumer, pro-county, and then the Senate will pass something out of conference committee that'll be pro-health plan. This year, the same process kind of played out, and 298E was language proposed that would allow the pilot sites in the state to just go around the county mental health programs and not contract with them, and which essentially would have been the same thing that we would have got 3 years ago by just handing the money to the private sector. I'm very, very pleased to say this was stripped out this year, did not get out of conference committee. Bay County sent in a strong opposition to this as soon as it came out based on the motion the board passed last fall. I shared that with a lot of other counties. They were real impressed with how firmly worded it was. I pointed out that, well, they believe in the state and county partnership. Go figure, it's only been since 1963, but we were real pleased that that came out. It was a victory for us. The administration was good about it. Jim Stamas, Representative Canfield, Brian Calley were all key people. Brian Elder, they were all key people on that. So that's the first part of the good news. The second part is a little bit later in the materials you have. We've added a program related to juvenile detention services. We have a jail liaison that works with the sheriff and provides some services to supplement what the sheriff provides in the county jail. And we built that out. We've given them more and more hours over time in the last 10 years. And we used to do some outreach into the juvenile detention center out on Hampton Road. And we've, a few years ago, we kind of phased that out with a retiree who did it left. And so we got some feedback from our board and some feedback from the commission and some feedback from the leadership at the juvenile center. And so we have re-implemented this program. We've hired a master's level clinician. Her name is Becca Burlington. She's now providing some on-site counseling and supports to the juvenile center. And she's also the liaison with the family court in Bay County to try to prevent kids from being placed in the juvenile center. And that also works really good because the juvenile center also serves Arenac County. So we're able to catch youths in both counties. So I gave you a little bit of information on that, and including her job description. I would encourage, as a leadership of the juvenile center, shares information with the commission and shares information with the county executive, encourage them to follow up with us. Everything that we've shared with you, they helped us draft and write. In fact, Mr. Ryder and Mr. Krieger were involved and Mr. Redmond were involved when we met with them originally. So we really tried to make this something that they would see as valuable. Because there's no sense spending the public's money on it if our other public partners don't see it as valuable. So I just wanted to point that out tonight, that we did get that in place, and she's been on the job for about 3 weeks now.
Awesome. Commissioner Begic.
I'll point out, Michigan Association of Counties has been opposed to that 298 since it came out. And
Absolutely.
Health and Human Services Committee has had positions in their programs with the state to oppose it.
Commissioner Krieger.
Just if you could pass a message on to Karen. I do appreciate the time that she spent working with Julie at the juvenile home.
Okay.
To put this program together and then to find the money to be able to bring the individual in. I think it's certainly a win-win for us to be able to work with the youth before they become
Absolutely.
hardcore.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Great job, Chris. I mean, you guys are nailing it, I think. You don't have a lot to work with, as far as finances, but you just keep working hard and doing with what you have, and you do a pretty good job.
Well, it meant a lot that the board took that strong position last fall, and then as soon as that came out this year, the board chair responded. We're trying to tell the counties, there's 83 counties, the system is your system. If you want it to be changed and improved, you need to be involved. If you don't care, then let it go. But if you're interested, you need to have your voices heard. It means a lot when it comes from the county governments. They're the folks, historically, that like to pretend like you don't matter. Even though you have to do, at the end of the day, you tend to get stuck with the bag on everything the legislature does in Michigan. So we just keep reminding them it's a state and county partnership, period. So, thank you.
Thank you. Need a motion to receive, please?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Jeanie, Deckert, where are you?
Right here.
So good to see you.
Well, we're here again because Bay County participated in the Win by Losing competition that Blue Cross Blue Shield puts on, and we had 18 people participate, and we did win for our category. Just 11 to 20 employees that participate. So in that category, Bay County took first place. So we have Blue Cross Blue Shield here to talk about that.
So thank you for having me here today. My name is Kelly, as Jeanie said, from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, and I'm here to present the Win by Losing trophy. Win by Losing is a weight loss program sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, and it's 9 weeks. And as Jeanie said, Bay County won your respective category. 18 people participated for a total of 182 pounds lost, which is approximately 5.7% total weight. And that's huge because according to the CDC, a weight loss of 5 to 10% can reduce your risk factors for chronic disease later, such as blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we hope that you guys continue to participate.
And each participant received a mug this year rather than a t-shirt. So it was a good change. And the trophy is totally different than what we had before. So.
Yes, it's a great job for all the people who participate, and you know, thanks Blue Cross, and Jeanie, you do a great job over there. You know, I get people to, well, you don't have me eating real healthy yet, but I'm trying. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Motion to receive, please.
So moved. Support.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We don't know if, is Michael Davis Thomas here? No. Okay, so we'll move on to request for appointment. We need to fill a spot on Bay Arenac Behavioral Health
Make a
Board.
motion to receive the individuals running for behavioral health.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Begic, you are the man. The man with the pen. We have our 3 nominees, Francis DeWise, Richard Nelson, and Justin Peters. All set, Madam Clerk?
Durancheck,
Justin Peters.
Krieger,
Mr. Peters.
Begic,
Nelson. Rick Nelson.
Coonan,
Justin Peters.
Ryder,
Justin Peters?
Lutz,
Fran Duan. Fran Duan.
and Herrick.
Fran DeWise.
4 votes for Peters, 1 for Nelson, 2 for DeWise.
So all set?
Miss
We need-
Justin Peters?
Justin Peters, so we'll need a motion to pass the unanimous ballot for
So moved.
support for Mr. Peters. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Peters. Next, Department of Health and Human Services is filling the unexpired term, which ends 10/31/19. We only had one applicant, Patrick McFarland.
So moved.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for Mr. McFarland. And C, Dana Muscott, City Manager, recommendation to appoint.
I'd receive that, please.
Pardon me?
Support.
Motion to receive.
Support.
And appoint.
Yes.
Motion to read, okay, and appoint Mr. McFarland. Thanks, Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Dana Muscott, City Manager, City recommendation to appoint Community Development Director as City Representative to the Bay County Land Bank Authority, and that would be Debbie Kiesel.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to receive and appoint?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Kiesel will be the Land Bank representative. Next, we'll have reports and resolutions of committees. Commissioner Lutz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, I'd like to bring before you motion 2018-145. It's the updated intergovernmental agreement, the next generation 911 phone system from the 911 dispatch division. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is resolution 2018-146. It's the text to 911 from 911 Central Dispatch. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Commissioner Lutz.
I think this will be a great addition to our ability within 911. And I don't know, Chris, do you want to say anything about that?
Afternoon, everyone. A couple of things on the text to 911. We look forward to doing that late this fall or the first of next year. It's something that's needed, especially in the hearing and impaired and deaf community. It's something that that they're looking forward to. We want to do it in conjunction with not just Bay County, but our partners in the region because we share media together. So Midland, Saginaw, Tuscola, that area, as well as others. And the folks that are in our phone consortium, we're all going to go together to build this out, the text to 911, since we do share those resources. Another thing to consider too, which is really nice, we built out the IP phone network that we've talked about multiple times. And one of the added benefits with that phone system is this text to 911 service will come to us at no charge as part of that system. And it also allows us to text to the caller as well as the caller to text to us. So we can actually initiate a call. And oftentimes what dispatch centers have found, if they're able to text to the caller, is if someone calls 911 and they have what they call an abandoned call, where they hang up and we don't actually make contact with them, our policy is to contact them back. And oftentimes they won't respond to our call, but 911 centers who've implemented this system have found that they'll respond to a text because there's just less friction there and easier for them to respond. So we're hopeful that'll cut down on the number of abandoned calls where we don't receive something back. And not only the hearing and deaf community, but also this allows for other situations. One thing that is useful and found is during domestic situations where an individual isn't comfortable calling, they can pick up a phone and text to us if they need assistance and start a conversation that way. So we're looking forward to putting this in place with our partners across the region, and we'll look for help from all of you and to really roll this out and make sure individuals understand to call when they can, or call when they can, and then text when they can is most thing. We want them to call if they can, because it just takes a lot longer to process a text call or a text session, but we wanted to have this in place for those communities and just another way to provide assistance, especially the next generation, millennials, younger folks. They have an expectation that they can text as well as call 911, so we want to be able to be where our consumers are and provide that service to them.
We seem to always be on like the cutting edge of this stuff. So, we talked about this before, but I mean, so we're basically one of the first consortium, we'll say, in the state to undertake this text 911 thing, right?
Yeah, the UP is a little ahead of us, as you and I talked about a little bit about, because they were the first to bring on Peninsula Fiber Network, PFN network, that IP network. But as far as a remote host system that's implementing a text to 911 solution, we're one of the first in the state, and we're pretty proud of that. So, yeah.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I bring Resolution 2018-147. It's the lease agreements for the adult foster care homes from recreation facilities. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-148. It's the prayer policy for activity centers and events from the Department of Aging. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-149. It's the Great Lakes PACE Home Delivered Meals, Department on Aging. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Commissioner Coonan.
Yeah, just what does the PACE stand for? It must be an acronym for something.
It is. It's a waiver program. It's a home-based waiver program, and I
Go ahead.
cannot remember
Beth,
exactly.
just say it again so on the mic so they
Yep,
can hear
it's a
you.
waiver-based program, like Region 7 has a waiver-based program, A&D has a waiver-based program, PACE is also. I can't remember exactly what PACE does stand for, but I will get that to you so you know what it stands for. But what they are is another agency that provides more intensive home care for those who are Medicaid eligible, asset-wise.
So we deliver food to them as well?
Yes, we do.
All right.
Right now, we do have some of them on our actual clientele, but we've never had an agreement with PACE to get reimbursed for those meals.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lutz.
So in addition to that, we were talking earlier today, so approximately about 30 of those that we serve now we'll be able to get reimbursed.
Yes.
Through PACE.
Correct.
And this is going to increase probably to 60 to 80 additional
Correct.
homes. So
Yep.
we may end up, I think you're coming towards personnel
Yeah.
for another
An additional driver and a cook.
And of course, to help with these additional 80 meals.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think it's great news that we're expanding this out to this portion of our community.
Yep. We're looking to bring in to our coffers about $1,500 a month in PACE finances by providing the meals and getting reimbursed, so.
Good thing.
Yeah. Thank you. No one else? Seeing nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I bring Resolution 2018-150, the security cameras for Riverside and Central Kitchen from the Department of Aging. I move that resolution.
Support. Discussion. Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. If I could, you'll get your steps in this afternoon, Beth.
That's okay.
So, I understand why we're doing this with cameras. My question will be, so if these people are then found via the picture on the camera, are we going to pursue and prosecute? Will it be turned over to the sheriff? I want to make sure that the money we're spending and the time that's involved, that they just don't get a slap on the hand and don't suck gas out of our cars again.
No, if anybody found on the cameras siphoning gas, we will be turning that over
So
to
they will
the
be
authorities.
prosecuted.
Yes. It's money coming from our state and federal budget and our senior millage that pays for that gas. So,
Okay.
yeah, our taxpayer money, so.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-151, Region 7 carryover funds. This is for the Department of Aging. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-152. It's the payables for general Fund. I move that resolution.
Support. Discussion. Commissioner Begic.
Just got a question about 627, when it was $4,607,000 compared to the other ones. I don't know why it was so big on 627,18.
I don't remember offhand what we had, but I will double check it and get it back to you.
Good question. You okay there, Commissioner Begic? We're good? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-153. It's the Region 7 Annual Implementation Plan for fiscal year 2019. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-154. It's the CSHCS Grant Award for the Health Department. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-155. It's fiscal year 2018-19 CPBC Agreement for the Health Department. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-156. It's the sub-grant award agreements with the SVSU Health from the Health Department. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-157. It's the amendment number 4 to the 2017-2018 CPBC agreement for the Health Department. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-158. It's the MMRMA RAP grant for the video surveillance cameras at mosquito control. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Commissioner Lutz.
We'll also be adding those that are being placed at the Division on Aging to this process also once we've got everything in place. So just want to look towards it.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-159. It's the budget adjustments from Animal Control, Probate Court. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-160. It's the Budget Stabilization Fund Annual Adjustment from Finance. I move that resolution.
Support.
Discussion. Commissioner Coonan.
It's always good to let the public know that we had a surplus of funds in any given year, and back in 17, $1,000,003 or something like that. And, for people that see, I guess, technically, we can put 20% of our surplus into this budget stabilization, which I think Lansing enacted a year or so ago, and basically that's all we're doing. We're saving money, but we're also putting money in a spot where Bob, you could explain it a little better than I could, but that's what we're doing. We had a good year financially, and building up the budget stabilization fund.
How much would be in our budget stabilization fund?
A little over $6 million, I think.
6.8 million.
Yeah, you're right, Commissioner Coonan. It's for people to know, we say 20% doesn't mean anything to anybody. When you add a number like 6 million on there, they go, we get that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a maximum, isn't it, Mr. Redmond, under the law, 20%? So it speaks well of the fiscal responsibility of the Board of Commissioners and Bay County to have that much cushion in the event of, emergency or a decline in revenue collections. So congratulations, Board.
Commissioner Lutz.
So it's kind of one of those things that's called the rainy day fund.
Rainy day fund, yeah, we could call it that too. They just put a fancy name on it, budget stabilization. All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 2018-161. It's the Public Fishing Pier Grants for Environmental Affairs. And
You gotta move it.
Move that resolution.
Support. Discussion.
Or just look to see if you're still here, but
Laura's here.
I think they want you to talk about the fishing pier.
would you like to say a couple things about this, Laura?
Thank you to the chair. This is a project that's been, Bay County's been involved in for a while. It originated, was identified through the effort that we funded 50% of through the Lakefront and Beach Access Study. It was a 18-month-long process that we did get a draft report. It took almost 13 months to get it final edited, but we were able to get that report finalized and approved through the county and DNR, and it identified through the public process the need for some fishing access from shore base. Otherwise, you know, unless you have a boat, you can't access and fish in the Saginaw Bay. And so this study looked at having some feasibility analysis of where some good sites might be, looking at a marketing analysis, as well as some preliminary site evaluation utilizing existing soils information. About a $50,000 analysis, probably through a professional consulting firm that we would go through a RFQ process on. And then we would, based on that evaluation, it would actually inform that process. If a pier is feasible for fishing, especially since we're getting the new rock reefs in the Saginaw Bay, the water quality's improved, the fish habitat's improved. People who aren't wealthy would like to be able to access our natural resources here. So this is a study looking at the feasibility and marketing value of having shore-based fishing in the Saginaw Bay. Hopefully in Bay County, it could possibly go to Arenac or Tuscola, but we're going to try and hopefully keep it in Bay County as an economic asset and access to our natural resources. So this is what that study would do. It'd be completely grant funded. No general funds would be required. This is an analysis, a study. It's not a construction. But it would help inform future decisions, because there are investors that have been waiting really to know where they're going to put their money. Arenac could use another fishing pier or somewhere else. But so that's what this project would involve.
Thank you. Commissioner Coonan.
Thank you. Couple of things, Laura. I'm in support of any effort to enhance our community, Bay County, with that pier. I think we could use that, number one. Number two, I liked what you said when you talked about making it accessible to people that don't have a lot of resources. I think that's huge. I was out to the beach and the spray park in the beach, and just looking at the numbers of people out there, people who are within our community that maybe not have a lot of resources and aren't going to go to Tawas or wherever it might be, Caseville, but they have the ability to go out to our beach, free basically, and enjoy the day with their family, and that's healthy. It's healthy for the mind, the body, and the soul. Our beach is magnificent, you know, I was out there and I just saw the numbers of people out enjoying that, which 20 years ago they weren't, but over the last 15 years, 18 years, this body supported an effort to strongly encourage the powers to be, there's a lot of them, that this is very important to our community. And I believe that this effort to put some sort of a pier or to bring in more marketable things into our community is only good for the whole community. So I do support that, and I appreciate you making that statement in regards to folks that are within our community that now have the ability to enjoy our own resources in Bay County.
So I have a question. So with this grant, if we receive this grant, would they go up and down, like from the top of the thumb all the way to Tawas, or how would they do that? Do you have
Looking
any
at
idea?
viewing the feasibility of different sites, I would like to keep them in Bay County.
Well, I would.
So that's where, so if we make this application, when if I get authorization to apply and it comes through my office, it's going to say Bay County. I mean, I know.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thanks. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next I bring the tuition reimbursement for Dina Fournier from the district court.
So, go ahead. You moved it, I received it. You moved it, I received it, or I supported it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I'll bring the analysis of the general fund equity, and I make a motion to receive that from the executive.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, I bring the executive director of 2007-11, and I make a motion to receive that for this one.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have from Ways and Means.
Thank you, Commissioner Lutz. Next, the Personnel and Human Services Committee Chairman, Mr. Ryder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have before you Resolution 2018-162, 2018-2019, agreement with Bay City Public Schools and the Sheriff. I would move that forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-163, reclassification of mosquito control manager. I would move that.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-164, MMAP program in the Department of Aging. I would move it.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-165, agreement with the Strategic Government Resources, Inc., for the Health Department. I would move that forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-166, agreement with Caravan Health Department. I will move that forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-167, vacancies in 911, Central Dispatch, Department on Aging, Building and Grounds. I will move that forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-168, support for Golden Horizons fiscal year 2019 funding request to Region 7. I will move that forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all we have before today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryder. From the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Durancheck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2018-169, reports of the county executive. I'd like to move this forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-170, opposition to House Bill 6049, Senate Bill 1025, sponsored by myself. It has to do with the unfunded mandate that the state is trying to push forward to counties and local units of government having to do with appraisers. And I believe MAC is also in opposition to it, and I would like to move this forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2018-171, post-Thomas recognition of Thomas L. Starkweather. I'd like to move this forward.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. County Executive, anything today?
Considering the lateness of the hour, Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to report.
As a record.
That's a congressman.
Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. Actually, I have two questions. One would be for Joel Strauss, if you would. Dealing with water quality issues. You know, we've heard a lot about the Air Force Base up in, oh, you broke it.
Sorry.
We've heard quite a bit about the contamination of water up in Muscott.
Yes,
And there's an
PFAS.
article on MLive that goes into quite depth of some health-related issues that may or may not be caused by this. But this stuff called PFAS, basically foam that they would use for a crash on an airport that was used up at the airport up in Muscott and in different areas, even Grand Rapids, where there's a tannery that used that same stuff, and they've been disposing of it into the waters. It's all over. My question to you is, with the help of Saginaw Valley, we're doing water samples looking for E. coli.
Yes.
I would like to see us also test and see what's in our waters and if there's any traces of this foam that we need to be concerned with, especially with our water now coming from up at the Singing Bridge, which makes it even closer to where we are with Oscoda.
Well, I can address that.
I hope you can.
Okay. Number one, the current funding that we have for testing of water is in regards to the bacterial content,
Right.
not the PFAS. And to utilize those funds for that would be an abrogation of the federal grant funding. But even with that being said, I do think at some point in time in the future that even though we do not have any sites known to us in Bay County that have been contaminated or that have known traces of PFAS, as in Tawas and around the old Air Force Base, there probably will be some testing of at least drinking water, especially for schools, and perhaps at suspected sites in the future, testing for PFAS as well. I'm not very familiar with the methodologies that they use to test this, but I can guarantee that we'll get more attention to that as the problem seems to grow
So
throughout
Joe,
the state.
what makes this really alarming is back when Dan Wyatt was the director of the DEQ, he had information that before he left this post that went to the DEQ and it was sat on. So I have some issues with that not being addressed in Lansing.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that here in Bay County, we're proactive in making sure that we can tell our residents that we're safe. So that's the concern I have.
Okay, so what I will do as the health officer is find the answers to your questions, find out if it is feasible to test beach water, to find out what the best environments to test are. I don't want to promise you something that we would test that it would not be scientifically relevant. But we will also find out whatever costs that are involved in that as well and bring that back to the board.
That'd be excellent. Thank you.
Commissioner Durancher.
Just a question now. These PFAS have been earmarked and located in private wells all over Van Etten Lake and all over that Oscoda area. So it's in the aquifer or in the, correct?
It could potentially be in the aquifer here. I've heard theories that they occur naturally, they occur all over the place. In Oscoda, it's a particular problem because the Air Force did do training and testing where they sprayed this material, and that is how they have determined that it had gotten into the underground aquifers. And you had mentioned the tannery close to Kent County as well.
And I would also state that MBS Airport does not do any type of practicing or training using this PFAS. So we know at least our airport is conscious of it and not using it.
Now, one of the good things that we have going for us, especially in the northern part of the county, and in the southern part of the county too, is that the level of clay is pretty significant, and that acts as a good deterrent, and it will block many of the different contaminants that go in there. As you go further up north, the soil becomes more permeable, you have more sand, and then there's more opportunity for chemicals to leach into the groundwater. And I believe, other than the fact, too, that we just don't have those industries or don't have a history of using those chemicals here, I think that's the reason why we don't have a problem here in Bay County at this given time.
Okay. Thanks. You know, one of the things that, you know, from the fire department, you know, we use foam all the time too, and, you know, and it's just like, it's like the foam from airports. Years ago, they just dumped it on and they didn't know what the ramifications were going to be 50 years down the road. At least now they create things that are a little more environmentally safe that are used. It's just that now we're trying to fix up the mistakes from the past, like usual, but it's just the way life is now, I think. Yes, Commissioner Drake.
Weren't some of these chemicals also used as waterproofers on boots and things like that? I mean, and we're using the same waterproofers now on roofing and things of that nature too. I mean, currently, I mean, this could be low end of something really, you know, severe.
You know, I'm not really familiar with the extent of how the chemical was used through manufacturing processes, and I can do some research and bring more information to the board for that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you have something else?
Yes, I did. You know, the commissioners received a copy of monthly revenue numbers dealing with the Civic Arena, Community Center, the pool, the summer rec program, the golf course, and Pinconning Park.
We're all set with the committee?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, thanks.
This is a separate issue, thank you. So, this is probably on your desk.
Okay.
So, what I'd like to do is twofold. One, because I want to be able to react better on a timely fashion. So what I'd like to propose or make a motion is that we add a department dealing with our park and recreations on the human services. So when we have our meeting, we can get a monthly update and something that just doesn't show us the revenue. I'd like to see the other side of the coin, which is how much did we have to spend to generate this revenue? So we would have a timely picture showing us exactly where we're at with these different departments. So when it comes to budgeting and capital improvements, we would know whether we have money there to use it or we have to take it from the general fund. So kind of like, what do they call it, a dashboard type situation is what I'd like to see happen.
Commissioner Coon.
I agree with you, but I'd like to see another committee right after a committee. We can have 2 committee meetings in one day.
Sure.
And this way, you know, we can get that information timely, look at the revenues and expenditures and projections, and have some input on that, whatever it might be. And I don't know why we can't do it. Just have somehow set up another committee. If you want to set up another meeting and have a recreation committee where we get involved with the entire recreation program from Pinconning all the way down to the community center.
Great idea.
So however we want to do that, but Ernie, Commissioner Krieger made a motion. I support it, but I would like to see if it requires a recreation committee and you have another meeting right after personnel, that would be fine with me. I think we need to do something.
We probably do. I don't know what the proper setup would be on I think we may need to have a little meeting ahead of time to see what exactly we want on this committee, what we want to do. I know Commissioner Ryder has been talking about that, and my problem was in the middle of summer, and there's just a lot going on, but I keep telling them that we're going to do that, but the things that you're asking for are probably, I think are really, you know, they really need to be examined, but we can do overload too, and, you know, get too much information, but we need to, like, see what kind of information we get Kristen involved, because that's her thing.
Sure.
And, you know, and sit down with her and a couple commissioners and see, and put a little package together and then bring it back to the board. And you know, if we want to finalize it, that would be the way to do it.
I guess what it comes down to is whenever we want to do something in whatever area, be it the civic arena, you know, insulating or putting new equipment in, I want to know that we're getting a bang for our buck and that stuff is being utilized and it's a positive income. But I don't know if it is without seeing both sides of the story. And I don't want to wait every 3 or 4 meetings to get a piece of paper showing me some information and not all of it. So I think it's important for us to be able to react on a monthly basis. If it means a committee after personnel held by itself, or we just join the two together. I mean, it isn't going to take a long time to go through it, but I think as a board, we owe it to everybody that's out in Bay County that utilizes these services. They know what the true cost is. I just don't want to see what we generated in a month. I want to see what it cost us to generate that in a month.
Commissioner Lutz.
Well, and one thing about our recreation in Bay County, it's a big thing, but it's also a needed thing. And not all recreation in Bay County is going to be a positive cash flow. It's going to be a marginal cash flow at times. And maybe will always be a marginal cash flow. But it's still providing something that the private sector doesn't provide. And I think that's the importance that we need to keep focused on when we're talking about these things. What can we do to make things better?
Well, that's what it's all about.
And, you know, just like I was talking with Kristen earlier, we took a little tour of the ADX arena, for example. Now, if we go ahead and insulate some things in there and do some other changes, yeah, we're going to have to make an investment. But over time, you know, it's going to help pay for itself in reduced energy things. So those are some of the things that I think this committee that you're talking about should kind of deal with.
Exactly. Instead of just one person on the board having that exposure,
right.
It's nice if we all had that exposure at the same time and we could look at the numbers.
Right.
Commissioner Ryder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, as we talk, it's nice to have a monthly report and those kind of things to, you know, make projections, but we need a long-term plan of what we're going to do with recreation in the county. You know, whether there's value in what we're doing today or there isn't value. When we get the information that's needed about usage, about costs, we'll be able to make some projections about where we go in the future. With a wage study that we're doing today, you know, I know that each and every employee is looking forward to that. And you know, we've got contracts this year, and where we're going to go in the future with raises or with, you know, services that we have, all those things need to be in a planning stage. And we have to have all the information that goes with it from each and every department. I know that I spoke with Executive Barsha about the recreation plan that the county is paid for. I think it was a $10,000 study. Each township pays another $2,000. And on top of that, and this is a 5-year study, I asked to be included with that for these projections of cost, of usage, and they'll get back with the different departments. Where that is today, I can't tell you. I know that those kind of things were asked, but that would be included in that planning committee that I would hope that we could bring forward. It would be the 7 members of the commission that would sit there. My understanding is at one time, the long-timers like Vaughn, they used to have a planning commission committee, is what I'm told. And I think we need to get back to it because projections are, there's only so much revenue. And I don't want to see any cut in services. I'd like to see where we're going and what we have to do to get there, and gathering this information. I think we need to move forward on it as quickly as possible, because nothing is going to stop here. We keep doing budget adjustments every meeting, it seems. And you know what? We need to have some projections. We need to see where we're going to go for our future here in Bay County and the citizenry that resides here. So I hope we can move forward with that as soon as possible.
Kristen, you wanted to speak?
Yes, I have a couple points. First, I can provide you with the expenses, that's no problem. I have all the reports printed out. It's not my understanding that's what you asked for last time. I wasn't here, so I can get that for you. I have always and will always provide you with any information that you want, and I've invited many of you out to these facilities anytime that you want. I think that there's more that goes on here, these recreation facilities, than there's more programming, there's more people, there's more things that go on there that you guys aren't aware of because you don't, and no fault of your own, but you're not there, right? I would really like to be involved in the discussion because this is the first time it's ever been formally introduced to me. As the Director of Recreation Facilities, I'd like to at least be able to voice my opinion to you guys. And then also in terms of the rec plan here, just in the beginning stages of it, we're asking the municipalities if they want to participate. We have a lot of positive people they're saying yes, they want to. But you have to remember what the rec plan is. The rec plan is a guide it's a document that allows us to apply for grants. There is no financial projecting in the recreation plan. It allows us to apply for state and federal grants. And we've received a lot of money in this community because we have that plan. Not only Bay County and Pink County Park and a lot of different places, but all the local municipalities have received major grant funding from having this 5-year recreation plan. So, I can provide you with the old one. We will have the new one by the end of December, but we're only in the very beginning stages of preparing this.
So I think that's why we need, as a group, to be able to discuss where we're going. Not knowing, I know that the reason why these townships join us and they pay their $1,900 to $2,000 is it because they're now grouped under our umbrella, which gives them the ability to go out and apply for these grants. If they weren't part of our program, they would be dead in the water. What we do as a whole benefits all of our different districts. But I think, just like what you were saying, I can give you this, I can give you that. It'd be wonderful to have a committee, us, sit with you and Mr. Barsha and discuss, just what the nuts and bolts are and bring us into the loop on the different things that are going on, the different programs. That's all I'm asking to have happen with our recreation program.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kuhn.
I'm a big supporter of recreation, even though you look at the ice arena and taxpayers subsidize that. Now that the building is paid for, the bonds are paid for, probably $200,000 a year. Technically, I don't have a problem with that because, as Commissioner Lutt said, sometimes you're not in business necessarily. You want to make money, you want to break even, but sometimes you just don't do that. We are the governing body. We set policy, and if we want a recreation committee, we've had a recreation committee in the past. It's not that difficult, and I don't say that we should have it in August. What I'm saying is that we're giving you guys direction. We want a recreation committee, and if it happens in January of next year, so be it. Let's just, it's not something that you can just do and next month we have it. But we want a recreation committee so that we can look at everything within Bay County and be more involved in it. And that's the best way of doing it, in my view. So I believe, Bob, we used to have a recreation committee.
Yeah, a long time ago.
All right, I understand that, but we've got meetings that last 10 minutes. And we could, whether we want to be part of that particular meeting or if we want to have a specific recreation committee after that meeting. that's fine with me, but I think that the will, I haven't heard anybody on this board disagree with what Commissioner Krieger brought up and what I'm saying, and Commissioner Ryder and Commissioner Lutz, Commissioner Durancheck, and we're not asking you to recreate something that's impossible to do. What we're saying is we want it, and give us a projection on when we can get it. If it's not till January, then we'll have it in January. But we should be able to get it if that's the will of this body.
Commissioner Lutz.
Yeah, I just want to explain, what Kristen was talking about. The document is being prepared so that we have it by the end of the year. If municipalities, Bay County, Bangor Township, City of Essexville, City of Pitt County, whomever, is not part of that, and it's not in there, then they are not eligible to get any funds for any of their projects in the future. If it's not in that 5-year plan, then it has to be added the next year. But it doesn't get added because it already comes up every 5 years. So it's kind of a plan that, and I know Essexville's got a lot of money, Pitt County Township, Pitt County Park up there's got things. There's a lot of municipalities within Bay County has gotten grant funds because it was in the plan. And that's the whole purpose of that particular plan. But that's a separate issue from what Commissioner Coonan was just talking about. I think, we're at a point where we need to be starting to look at recreation as a whole in Bay County.
Commissioner Durancheck.
Just as a comment, myself and Laura Olgar attended a DNR trust fund grant writing seminar, maybe 2 months ago or so. And if you don't have, they were pretty, adamant that if you do not belong to a plan, there's 20 points, I think it was, but you don't get those 20 points. Now, they may have gained in other areas. I mean, to say somebody's not going to get a grant because you don't belong to a plan, I don't know if I would go that far, because they may gain points in other areas, but it's at a definite advantage to be there. Point number one. Point number two, I represent, my townships are northern Bay County. I have 6.5 of the 14 townships. Their needs for recreation and what they're expecting me to give them is way different than what folks here that live in the city and stuff. You don't even want to know, and I will bring up their opinions when we get this up and going with the Recreation Committee, which I think is a fantastic idea, what their views are. And I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about supervisors from these townships. I will bring a different light to the situation from what will differ, I'm sure, from some of the folks that represent the city. Approximately, each one of us represents 16,000 people. Some of you are more congregated, and mine's spread out. And I love being in God's country. I'm not complaining. That's all I have.
Commissioner, I support the idea of the community center has changed a lot. I go there a lot. It's changed a lot over the last few years with that, the programs they've had over there. So there's been a definite improvement in that. So a while back it wasn't that great. So now
You
it's
even
better.
have a new floor in the basketball.
That's right, we have a new floor. So that part's good.
Thanks to Kristen.
The ice arena, Commissioner Powell was in my district. He's bent my ear many times about the ice arena. He's adamantly opposed to it. I still hear it from some people. I can at least tell them we paid off, the loan. So it's not as much, still is some. So, there's a pro and the con. So I think the community center is good. Ice arena still, some people don't like that we built it. So I think the committee is a good idea. I support it.
So let me ask this question of all of us then. You have Saul, she's put out some financials already, right? So would it be prudent of us to say, we want to see the way you want it designed so she can get the right information, and then if you want to see changes in it, make changes and email it to her, or you want to have a meeting before that, so we can have a document to start with, so you know what we're working with. I guess that's what that's where I'm kind of going with this. Yes, Commissioner Lutz.
Why don't we, take this week to be thinking about it, and we can kind of discuss it at our next meeting next Tuesday, as to, you know, how we kind of want to structure this, what each of us are looking for out of this thing, however.
Yeah.
And then we can take and springboard out that to sometime in the future when we're actually going to start to look at and where our focus is going to start and where it's going to head.
Well, it seems like it starts with financials. You know, that seems to be what everybody's saying. So if there's something there if there's something missing that can be provided, she'll provide it if you tell her what it is. But that we gotta know what it is first. Yes, Commissioner Ryder.
It's not just finance, it's cost. It's cost, it's indirect costs. It's our expenses.
Well, that's part of
our usage. You know, how many people from this community, from Bay County, not other communities, I'm concerned about Bay County, people that reside here and that are using these facilities. I'm not advocating to cut any of these facilities that we have. I think after we have all the information, we'll be able to look down the road and say, well, you know, it's nice to have. Can we afford it? That's the debate we're going to have. So when we start looking at what is going to be needed, it has to be all costs associated and how many people are using it. Right? And so it's financials, I would assume, I'm not saying any job is easy, but it's a lot easier to come up with financial statements to say, well, we had this much in expenses last year and the year before, whatever. But when we start getting into the indirect costs, when we start getting into usage, especially usage, it takes some time. And it shouldn't be just a one-year thing. It should be a look back. And then look to where we're going future. Because I don't see golf as being, in the future, more golfers out there. It's just the opposite. I don't think as far as hockey goes, there's going to be more skaters out there. It's going to be just the opposite. That's what it's looking at. Soccer is a big thing right now. I don't know. But you know what? Until we get that usage, what people are using it, we can see trends, certainly. So that kind of information is pertinent to what we need to have. And I know it takes time to do this, but you know, however long it takes, it takes. But I think there's some urgency to not sit and wait to get the stuff. I think it's something that we need to get started on now.
You know, I think what you're saying, there's a lot of this, it's valid on some areas that, like the golf course, you can measure that. You can measure people at the hockey arena. It's hard to measure people at the community center because, you know, it's just hard to do. It just is. You know, I mean, you can look at, that's why at some point you can really get the camping. You know how many people are there, but things that the community center especially, because so many people come in and out of there, they come in groups and somebody pays for one thing and there could be 50 people there and you don't know. You know, so it doesn't mean it's not being used, it just means they got money in for it, but it's really, that's where it's very difficult to measure some things, but other things are very easy. But I know what you're saying, you want to see usage, but it's hard to base it just on plain usage, but only when you can, like I said, at the golf course, at campground, hockey arena, you got a little better chance than at the community center. But I know it's difficult.
So let's just do it.
I don't know why you can't measure at the community center. When people walk in, you should be able to do it. But let's get started. I agree. Yep. We're kind of given a directive. Let's get it going, and you can't complete something until you take the first step. We should be taking the first step to do something.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think I've talked to each of you individually about this, and I think transparency is good, and I think it ultimately is in the best interest of our taxpayers and our citizens who use the facilities to, as Commissioner Ryder and others have said, project out where are we going to be in 2 years, 5 years, and maybe 10 years down the road. So I know there's been a concern for several months, so we would be very supportive about moving forward on this quickly to get some deliberations and some evaluations going on what makes sense and what doesn't.
So we'll get to, so our first step will be to maybe next week, have suggestions for Kristen to fix up the financial, the reports the way you want to see them, so they're easier to read, and we'll step it up from there. Correct? I mean, does everybody agree with that?
Well, I
Yes.
think we should be looking at a committee too. How do we?
Well, they will, that's it, but bring the information, we gotta get
We
the
need
information.
We need to, it's not that difficult. Other places have got them, we've had them. Let's get the committee rolling, and then we can get that information going.
You want the committee rolling, we'll get the committee rolling. We're all in this together, so if that, if that's what everybody wants, that's what we'll do.
We used to.
So,
I have a motion on the floor.
what's our motion again? What is it, read it, you got the motion?
I think
We
Dan?
made a motion for a committee.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have support?
I did support that.
And we discussed. There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Easy. Easy peasy. Anything else, Commissioner Krieger? Unfinished.
That'll do it for new business.
All right.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous. Commissioner Lutz.
I just got an announcement. We all got this on the board, but I just want to kind of bring it out that there's going to be a local invasive Phragmites control class. It's going to be to certify people to actually go out and become applicators to eradicate the Phragmites here in Bay County. It was sent out, I believe, to all the townships and cities and things, so if they want to send any staff to that. It's going to take place in Hampton Township on August 1st. And I talked to Laura Ogar, and they're going to put this up, on our website and things like that, so it'll be available. So I think it's something that we need to continue to do throughout the county. I mean, we've done this great project, out in Saginaw Bay, and we done things up towards Muscott. But what we gotta do is we gotta start working from the bay now inland, because these things are way far inland in Bay County in all directions. And if we can get rid of them here and there and everywhere, they won't end up backfilling the bay.
Yeah. They seem to be, wherever there's an open spot where there's nothing growing, they seem to grow. Commissioner Durange.
And I believe, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, it's non-commercial.
Correct.
Okay, this is for individuals, not a company, can't be sending a whole bunch of people, it's for, individuals that are interested in donating their time or whatever to take care of this Phragmite problem. I think that's all I have.
Sure. Any other miscellaneous? Announcements, we go right to October. Land Bank Authority, one at-large representative, a 3-year term. And Department of Health and Human Services Board of Directors, 1 3-year term, that is a governor's appointment. In November, Building Authority, 2 6-year terms. In December, Department on Aging Advisory Committee, 4 2-year terms in Districts 2, 4, 6, and then at-large. And is there any need for closed session there?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.